Hey, what's up, everybody? BDF 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so I figured I'd do another therapy session, keep this thing going, and of course, I'm talking about the same thing I've been talking about, which is what took place in Uvalde. What I'm hearing now is the same thing I'm sure all of you are hearing, which is that they could have went in and saved the kids sooner, but decided not to, for reasons that are not clear to me just yet. Likely due to safety reasons for their own safety and maybe that of the other children that could be in the situation. They felt it was safer for them to sit on the outside and kind of survey the area. Um, Maybe stop some parents from trying to get past a certain barricade that they set up. I don't know. That was what they decided to do. It's been reports that kids had to just do all incredibly difficult things to try to survive the situation, and you know I don't want to trigger anybody by speaking about it, but it's just the point. Like, I think what this has taught me, what this should have taught the rest of us, is that we have to be very, very, very selective about who we have responding to certain types of incidences. I don't think the local guys should be responding to situations like this. Now, granted, I don't know nothing about nothing. For all I know, it's very difficult for for others to respond to these situations soon enough. But you're talking about a little town in Texas that was very much not prepared for this type of situation. Their police were not trained for what they were dealing with. Regardless if we should be upset about that or not is irrelevant. I think we need to be honest and say there are a lot of little towns around this country that cannot handle what just took place there. No different than Uvalde wasn't able to handle that. Now that they get better at handling stuff like that across the board is something I'm sure we'll turn our attention to. I hope. But I think the most important thing that we need to understand is that we need to start looking at other ways of responding to these situations. I don't I don't want the local guys doing it no more. I don't. Now, if it's a city like Los Angeles, I know our police, we handle a lot because it's LA and they deal with everything. Obviously, New York, Chicago, places like that, I would imagine they're more equipped to deal with crazy, crazy stuff. Although sometimes you're surprised when they're not. But nevertheless, it's like when you got little towns, or a little parish here or there with the uh, supermarket and the police station and the movie theater, they shouldn't be dealing with stuff like that. When it's that sensitive of a situation, I need big boys coming in. I need a different type of tactical unit that is set and prepared for very, very unique circumstances that require quick and swift action. You know, we needed Marines for that. That's what you needed. You needed to send in a tactical unit that you would send in Baghdad for a guy like that. They would have extracted him and secured as many survivors as possible. Those guys, they were scared for themselves. They said he had barricaded himself in that thing and he was shooting out the window with his AK. They would know what to do. Half of them had kids at that school. They were thinking about their own kids, right? And I could be mad about that. I can. But I can also understand that they care less what I think. And I gotta respect that truth. And that's what we all need to respect. It's awful. But when you start talking about a police officer, you're first talking about a flesh and bone human being. And my kid is in there, I'm not thinking about ethics or my job or how I feel or, now it just becomes me protecting what I'm responsible for protecting on this earth, which is my kid. And I will deal with the backlash after that. If it makes me a horrible person, throw me away. But I protected my kid. And I think that's how a lot of them people was thinking. We can be angry at them if you want. But if you really want to do something about it, then you got to take the power away from them in that situation. They should not have had to respond to a situation like that as police officers. They should have been able to respond to that as parents because they were frantic and couldn't be professional in that situation. Could you be professional in that situation? I could not be professional in that situation. I'm not going to be rational in that situation. I'm not going to be logical. I'm not going to be considerate. I'm going to protect my kid, and I'm going to kill anybody that keeps me from doing so. Okay? So that's what I'd imagine they're going through. So you can't have them respond to that. They can't be the ones to respond to that. You got to send some people that ain't from there, that ain't a part of that, who are focused on stopping situations like that in to stop that. Not terrified parents who happen to be wearing badges. We put too much responsibility on police officers. Period. That's what all of these different things have taught me. Do you know how easy it is for me to become a cop right now? Because I have no priors and nothing. I can go be a cop right now. And I'm telling you, I'm not equipped to be a cop. I am not. But they'll send me out there just the same. And I will be no more ready for what it is they're dealing with than I am right now. Maybe a little more training, maybe 6 months of training, a little more a little more hours out there. Yeah, I'll get a lot better at what I do, but it ain't gonna make me no more ready for what it is that they just dealt with. And I'm in Los Angeles. I'm gonna get more training. I'm gonna have more numbers. I'm gonna have a bigger crew if I were to become a cop out here. So if I were to become a cop out there, I'm even less likely to get what I need to be prepared. Just as likely to get hired though. And that's what we need to understand. Being in the security field has taught me how easy it is for people to get jobs in these fields without being vetted, without being qualified, without having what they need. Half the time they don't have their funding. They don't run. You think they're running drills for stuff like that in Uvalde? They're not. They're looking to stop a little street gang, whatever. They're looking to respond to some stuff that's going on at the bar. You know what I'm saying? If there's a shootout somewhere, somebody rob a bank, they'll handle that. But not some weird, wild dude with AK-47s or AR-15s barricading himself in the school with a bunch of youngsters that happen to be their kids. Nah, man. You're asking too much of these people. You can get upset, rah, 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 the police, but that's because it's in your mind to look at police officers as if they're supposed to have some understanding of that's greater beyond their cops, so therefore they're supposed to be beyond human when situations get crazy. No, these are people, man, and they're putting themselves through trauma out there. That's what's happening. And now you're gonna have them respond to something that their own personal kids are at, man. One of the police officers lost his kid. You think he's gonna be sitting out there in his best tactical mindset? Come on, man. You know, we just got to start using our brains as it pertains to these type of situations. You got regular cops responding to situations. You need Marines for it, bro. That's why those kids didn't make it out of there. That's why them people was out there for 40 minutes. Because for whatever set of reasons, they weren't prepared for that. And we should have been prepared for that. Be prepared for those who are not prepared. And that's what this has taught us. Don't sit up here and blame the people who ain't prepared. Look above them and say, we need to make sure that those people don't have that responsibility no more. That's what we need to do. It ain't about, them. Forget them. Above them, that's who can do something about it. You can dissolve that little police, department if it makes you feel better. I don't know what that's going to do. No one around the country but them is affected by their police department. If anything, they just need help. They just need help, man. So I understand the outrage. I understand the conspiracy theories. I have them. I share them. But I live in a space of dualities, which means two things can exist at the same time, and or I can live with two variables that I may not be able to live with or be able to settle on. So it's like, okay, until I know what's what, I just got two different paths that could be true, and I just don't know nothing. That's how I'm handling this. Could this be some conspiracy theory? They didn't care about them kids? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Probably not. I don't think that they were any less concerned about those kids, to be honest with you. I just think that those people were just ill-equipped to handle it. Ill-equipped. Not built for it. Is it disgraceful? Yeah, sure. I think it's fair to say it's a disgrace. You want all police to be brave-hearted and all this stuff that they told us the police were growing up. But the reality is, as I said, they're just human beings, bro. At the end of the day, they're just people scared, just like everybody else. Maybe they got a gun in their hand, maybe they don't. In this situation, they obviously do, but the point is they're just people. So, with that being said, I look at those who are talking about the gun laws, and I agree. Just because you don't think the gun laws are going to do anything does not mean that we don't need to set them. That's a stupid argument. Very stupid argument that I hear intelligent people make all the time. And I know damn well they don't apply that logic to other things, just to this conversation. It's bullcrap. The rules are in place for a reason, to deter people from breaking them. Once they break those rules, you then have the right to punish them for breaking those rules, which is why the rules are in place. You don't say we don't need rules because people are going to break the rules anyway. You don't do that in any other walk of life except for as it pertains to these damn guns. Stop applying logic that you would never apply to anything else to this situation so that you can continue to justify the massacre of many. Because that's exactly what it is. I don't pretend to have a solution for your gun problem. I do not pretend to understand what all the variables are to understand or any of that. I don't have any concern in regards to that, trying to take nothing from nobody. But what I'm telling you is, if you have illogical gun laws that allow 18-year-old kids, 17-year-old kids who turn 18 the next day to, on that next day, purchase AR-15s with infinite ammo without being vetted in any way or capacity. Just, hey, here's my ID. Let me have those human murderers. let me get those killing weapons that don't do anything but slaughter human beings. That's all they're here to do. And take them out into the open earth where the cops are not equipped to defend against these weapons. That's the part that's really wacky. You're letting these weapons out into the open air for everyone to touch legally, and then your local police can't defend against those weapons when they're used against them. That is absolutely insane to me, that y'all justify this in y'all states. It's craziness, but it's not surprising, because I do believe that there are a lot of chaos agents in these places. They don't want anything but chaos. They would rather these guns be out in the streets so that they can continue to capitalize off of people killing each other with these guns. I do believe that. I think that it's a lot of money being made off of the damage being done by these particular types of weapons, and they look at these events as collateral for ultimately being able to continue their business. Business is obviously making them more money than we would ever imagine, or otherwise they would feel more pressure to do something about this. So that's the really sad part about this. These people love their money more than they love their safety, and that's the reality of the situation. I think they do understand that they are too flesh and blood and can be shot down by these same guns. I think it won't be until they are will we start to actually see change. When somebody walks into one of those places and uses those guns on them, then you'll see the people who have to clean their asses up start to say, you know what? Yeah, maybe we should start doing something to protect ourselves, since we actually are the ones now being shot by these guns. As long as it's people that don't look like us or people that we don't care about, it's just money in the bank for us, man. Sorry, we don't care. And that's why I think it gets a lot worse before it gets better, because eventually the people are going to start realizing that they're not safe until the people who are in charge of doing something about this feel unsafe. That's the truth. And nothing changes until either their pockets are disrupted or their hearts are disrupted. It's one or the other. And until you do something that makes them care or do something that makes them scared, there's no logical reason to think that they're going to do anything. Now, I'm not saying anyone should do anything. I'm just saying I don't see no other way. I really don't. It's a sad world we're in, man. Sad world we're in. And it's like, guns, There are a million ways to kill people, I'm sure, but if they don't have access to them, it's hard to get it. It's hard to do it. It's harder to kill 18 people in one setting really, really fast without a gun. But with one, it's inevitable. So we just got to be real. Not everybody who has a gun is a bad guy. Not everybody who has a gun is prone to use it. Not everybody who has a gun isn't going to do a good job protecting with it, right? It can be used both ways, but I think because we don't have any hold on who gets what, even though they pretend like they have some control over that, they actually are struggling with that. We got to be real and assume that everybody who has it needs to be vetted very, 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 very thoroughly and very properly, regularly, because mental spaces change. People's mental health changes. Just because I'm cool this month don't mean I'm going to be straight 6 months from now. You may want to take a look at me and see if I'm still equipped for that. These are the type of things that we need to be real about in regards to firearms. You should be trained a certain way in order to have a gun in a certain vicinity of a child. You should have some permit for that. You got to go through a certain amount of hours in my world before you can even have a gun around a child. Vicinity of a child, in my opinion. Private citizen, cop, anybody. That's how it should be. Vetted properly so that we can at least limit the ability for the people who shouldn't have them to have them. That's all I'm saying. In these particular places where these gun laws are rampant and crazy, that this is, come on, man, where they letting people just buy guns like it's candy bars. Come on, man. Because this is where these things are happening. It ain't happening in places where the laws are nuts. You're not seeing this kind of stuff happen in New York very much, if you notice. They got the craziest gun laws in the country. And while I think those laws are, they go a little further than I'm comfortable with in a lot of things that they do in that area, at the end of the day, this is less likely to take place. And I would argue they probably have a much worse, mental health concern out there. Much, much worse. People who are more prone to do something like that are probably in places like this, where the laws are stricter and harder for them to get to these things. Now, I don't have the numbers behind that, so that's just me talking. I do not have the numbers to back that up. But what I'm trying to say is, can we at least just make it a little tougher? A little tougher for crazy people to get it? And I understand people say, well, the guns are on the streets. The guns are on the streets. Yes, the guns are on the streets. And with all due respect, the gangsters on the streets are not walking in high schools and junior high schools and elementary schools shooting kids. That's not what you're seeing. That's not what. Now, are kids dying in these neighborhoods? Hell yeah, and that's a big problem. But that's not the conversation we're having at this moment. Should be, and we will. But we're talking about just situations such as these. Strictly this particular problem. You got to focus on those guns. See what I'm saying? You got to focus on those guns. And I think that's where I want the pro-gun people to kind of work with the not-so-gun people. And I want the not-so-gun people to work with the gun people in regards to this particular conversation in the short term. You can't take everybody's guns at once. They're gonna be ready to shoot them guns before you do that. I heard people talk about what happened in the UK. You got to have people agreeing with that. In this country, the culture is gun. So we're not going to be just giving our guns away. However, I think it's time that we come to the conclusion that it shouldn't be as easy for everybody to get them. I think that's common sense. I'm not trying to take a gun out of your hand. I want to take a gun out of that dude's hands. You see what I'm saying? And if we can all come to that conclusion, I think we'll save some lives. I'm pretty certain we'll save some lives. But they have to be willing to let go of that money. They got to be willing to eat that loss. And they're not ready to do that because they're making a lot of money letting these guns fly off the shelves like this because people buying them. That's the reality of it. People buy the guns. They're out there to get their hell. And it's not even about whether or not I'm bloodthirsty, I want a gun, or I'm so scared I got to protect my family. People buying guns because they can. Because they're cool. Because I know if I have an AK under my seat, I don't have to fight you. If I got an AK under my bed, you come in here for any reason with any trauma, I'd pull that out and act a crazy fool. That gives people a false sense of power. Ain't got nothing to do with defending nothing. It ain't got nothing to do with going hunting. It ain't got nothing to do with having real beef in the world. Nah, these people are just want to have something as powerful as a gun to make them feel more powerful than themselves, and that is it's a God complex that a lot of us have in this country. It ain't deeper than that. It's a lot of weak people trying to feel strong, and a gun makes them feel that. You know, and then there's other people who have guns because they're paranoid because other people have guns. Just like they say, you know, if everybody has a gun, you can't shoot him. And then a lot of these people think like that. I gotta have a gun to protect myself. As if more stray bullets is gonna save lives. I ain't never seen a bullet stop a bullet, fam. Show me where that's at. I've seen body armor do that. I've seen bulletproof vests and all different types of stuff like that. That's the defensive stuff right there. For some reason, a lot of that stuff is illegal, which I have some questions about, even though I can understand why you would want a guy who's, you know, doing the stuff that dude did not have body armor. I get that, but you would think the body armor would probably be legal, and the guns and the other stuff would be harder to get. But you know, it just shows you their priorities. Shows you the priorities, and it gives you a glimpse into what your value is. Because the thing that can help you protect yourself from the bullets is harder to get than the bullets themselves. Just as illegal. What I'm gonna do? Throw some body armor at somebody? Like that's the only way I'm gonna insult somebody with something that protects my body, but they're illegal for some reason. So I think at the end of the day, we need to look and see that a lot of this stuff that we talk about in regards to our guns, regardless if you're pro-gun or anti-gun, a lot of this stuff is not meant to make life better for human beings. It's meant to make life easier for those who sell the weapons on the open market so that they can keep up with those who sell it on the black market. If you really want to know what I think, that's exactly what it is. They're in competition with the dark market, and they're trying to keep up, and that's why they continue to let those guns fly off the shelves, because they know if they don't, they're going to go to the competition and get it. So what you need to do is find a solution for that particular problem, and I'm willing to bet it's wedged all up into our higher ups, as most of the illegal stuff that takes place often traces back to them. So that is why they will allow kids to get slaughtered, in my opinion, because ultimately they are bad guys who are in the light, and they feel they're better than the bad guys in the dark, but still got to keep up with them. Just my theory. Anyway, so with that being said, I'm hopeful for a revolution in my lifetime of all of this nonsense, because we can clearly see it. These are not the days of old. Information does move faster, and we're all aware. So there's no reason for us to continue to allow any of this. So that's pretty much where I'm at with it. I encourage everybody to just continue to do what you got to do. Protect your family, protect yourselves, but also to keep in mind that a bullet doesn't stop a bullet. It just doesn't. So arming yourself just so you can return fire, you're just leaving more stray bullets to hit some kids that may not have nothing to do with your little gunfight. Keep that in mind. My name is BDF 44. Thank y'all for watching.